snow. And look at the snow falling down here in DeKalb, Illinois. We actually had some very big flakes. You can catch a couple of those here on the screen every once in a while. But you know what? It's just going to be a cold day out there. Cold front already pushed through. You noticed that. As soon as you stepped out the door today, you could tell that it was definitely a cold day. We are watching that snow and wintry mix. It's going to be a slick spot or two that you'll encounter on the roads. And then once we head towards Tuesday, we are actually tracking another system. Temperatures as you head outside, 29 in St. Louis. Look at this frontal boundary as you head over towards Cape Girardeau, 45 degrees. 12 in Kansas City, 9 in Hayes. Yeah, it's a cold day out there, but 48 down in Memphis. We have this cold air that's going to continue to push down. So these 20s headed all the way down towards the Ohio and Tennessee valleys. Factor in a little bit of that wind. It's feeling like 9 in Peoria. -3 is what it feels like outside in Kansas City. 8 below zero in Hayes, Kansas. And these temperatures have been falling throughout the day. You've noticed that. Look at this frontal boundary right here. St. Louis, 7 degrees colder than what we were at this time yesterday. Now we're close to 36 degrees colder than normal in Kansas City. 23 degrees colder in Wichita. And look at that. That is a big number. 53 degrees colder than this time yesterday in Hayes. That is a huge shock to the system. We are talking about some very frigid conditions out there, especially compared to this time yesterday. So, I mean, just put that into perspective for you. Yeah, it was definitely a very potent cold front moving through. And there's a little bit of light snow. Brought us some winter weather advisories and some more light snow going to be possible throughout the rest of this afternoon. There's a swath of the snow moving through Kansas, likely move down through Kansas City, possibly in through St. Louis and Cape Girardeau. We'll see if that holds true. But also the northern tier of the central region and the eastern tier of the central region battling some snow showers and rain off to the south. We picked up almost an inch in Chattanooga, so it has been definitely a wet day today and also wet into the day yesterday. Good news there, we are under a moderate drought, getting some definite relief there, but over towards Missouri and Kansas, we are under the moderate, severe, and extreme drought here, so we definitely need a lot of moisture to start to see our conditions improve in terms of the drought monitor. Here's a little bit of that snow here for the Great Lakes region in the Ohio Valley. That's going to continue to push off towards your east today. High pressure system builds in, will be clearing throughout the overnight hours. Once we head overnight through tomorrow morning, high pressure stays in place. Clear skies pretty much everywhere else, and a quick burst of snow possible for some areas around Kirksville and Peoria as we head towards the mid-morning hours on Monday. Once we wake up tomorrow morning, it will be cold out there. 1 degree in Chicago, 10 in St. Louis, 13 in Kansas City, and 10 in Hayes. That's a little bit on the liberal side here, so we could be talking about some colder temperatures. Definitely feeling a lot colder as well, just because of that wind chill. Now, high pressure stays in control. Here's some of that snow moving throughout the afternoon hours. Chicago getting another burst of snow through the Ohio Valley. Not going to produce much, but maybe about 1 to 3 inches could be possible. We'll see if we have any winter weather advisory spark up because of this, but we do know it's going to be cold as well. 22 in Peoria, 33 in Chicago, 46 in Wichita, and 55 in Dodge City. Definitely a big warm-up compared to today. 41 over in Nashville and 23 in Toledo. That snow moves out of the Ohio Valley as we head towards the overnight hours into Tuesday, and then we have the possibility of a little bit of an icing concern showing up for Tuesday morning into Tuesday afternoon for Wichita over towards Springfield, maybe even Cape Girardeau, as this burst of snow continues to track across essentially I-70 here. But we do have to watch out for this snow and also a little bit of an icy scenario possible for us. As you look at Tuesday's high temperatures, yeah, that's going to bring in another shot of cold air as well. 26 in Wichita, 31 in Indianapolis, and 57 in Chattanooga. Overall, the snow that is to come, 1 to 3 inches for that system tomorrow, and then there could be a couple localized places north of Springfield, south of Kansas City that could pick up maybe a half a foot of snow with that next system. We will definitely be tracking that every step of the way for you. And a look at election in Kentucky over the next
everyone. Welcome back into Weather Nation. Check out a couple of scenes from across the upper Midwest down through the central portion of the U.S. We're talking snow. We've got a potent cold system that is pushing through this region, tapping into a little bit of moisture, and this is what we get, that wintry precipitation coming on down. It's going to be cold as well behind this next front, and we are going to see some fairly significant snow as this whole system pushes south and then into the eastern portion of the U.S.
In the eastern portion. So, of course, welcome back to Weather Nation. Today's the big game across the Twin Cities, and it's cold out there. The system that brought the cold, well, that's the system that is dropping some of that snow. Let's take you to the Viper radar and kind of show you what we're looking at, because we're still seeing some of that snow. Actually, they're into links, guys, not to be confusing. Sorry about that. But into Chicago, into parts of Kansas City, we are seeing some of that snow that is continuing to fall. Kansas City, it is wrapped up. It is now moving into St. Louis. This is kind of a shortwave energy, and what that basically means is a very fast-moving system inside this trough, and it's not dropping a lot of snow, of course, because it is so incredibly fast-moving. So very light accumulations here for parts of northern Illinois, and now moving into northern Indiana, southern parts of Michigan. That will continue here for the next couple of hours, and all across the I-44 corridor, Springfield, Missouri, anywhere between 1 to 2 inches expected here in the next couple of hours. Back across the west, you will notice that we kind of have that trough that is really draped across the country's midsection, and so embedded in that we have some energy, some moisture here, and that is dropping a little bit of snow for places across Jackson, Wyoming. Temperature sitting mainly into the upper 30s, so we do have some rain that is happening there down to the valley floor, but it is snow, of course, in the higher elevations. And across Seattle, Washington, it's been several consecutive days of passing rain showers. We're actually going to be wrapping up with some of these rain showers here in the next 24 to 36 hours. And thankfully so, because we've got an aerial flood watch for swollen rivers, tributaries, because we've just gotten so much rain over such a short period of time. It is the rainy season. We do need the rain this time of year, but we're actually sitting well above average so far this year, almost coming in at about 9 inches of measurable precipitation, and we'll start to see drier conditions by Tuesday and following into Wednesday. Before we do so, though, we're going to continue to see some of that snow here for the areas across Montana. We've already picked up close to a foot here in the last 24 hours, and some additional snow will happen overnight tonight and into Monday morning, Monday afternoon across much of the region. But as we continue to talk about this dip in the jet stream across much of the U.S., and a lot of that energy, it's got to go somewhere. And this is actually going to be our next system that's going to pick up a lot of moisture here for parts of Dallas, Texas. As we roll into the middle part of the week, Mike is going to give us everything from rain to possible freezing rain for Oklahoma City and some snow.
How about that? Looking nice in Dallas for the moment. We've got those clear blue skies, but we do have this front that will continue to push south. A lot of moisture riding right along with us. Of course, we're going to stay wet here across the northwest. Across parts of the Rockies, we'll pick up a little bit more snow as well. But it's a system. As it transitions into the southern portion of the U.S., we're going to see some snow. In fact, a pretty good batch of it push across the central portion of the U.S. back over into the Great Lakes. This low pressure system pushes into parts of the south, however, and that's going to be the catalyst for a lot more rain coming at you, especially across the southern United States. A little bit more snow, possibly into the eastern portion of Colorado, back over into Kansas as we go through the overnight into Tuesday. And then look at this. As this system does transition, we've got some freezing precipitation right here, northern Oklahoma, back over into parts of Tennessee. You may get a little bit of that rain, and then south, right along this warm front, certainly a lot more rain coming at you. We're tapped into some of that Gulf moisture. This is good news. We need some rain across this region. It does look like this system will bring some of that, but it will continue to bring some of that freezing rain possibility right there in parts of Arkansas, back over into Missouri, back over into parts of Kentucky. Snow to the north, so you're going to get another pretty good batch of snow across Ohio, Indiana, back over into parts of Pennsylvania as well. But some pretty heavy rain coming on down as we're looking right along this system as it moves to the east. This is as we go towards midweek. In fact, by noontime, we'll see some of these storms actually kicking up with some vengeance. We're going to see some stronger storms out of the deal. Snow to the north ongoing. So do expect that as we push towards midweek. You're going to get a lot more snow out of the deal. And then this whole system continues to pack a punch as it moves north and east into the northeast. We'll see more snow coming on down. New York, it does look like a little bit more rain coming on down for you. Some stronger storms pushing across the Carolinas down into the southeast, which is really where we could use some of this rain, some of this moisture. More snow to the higher elevations as we're looking into West Virginia, parts of Kentucky. You'll see a little bit of that as well. But over the next couple of weeks, look for warm and dry conditions west and wet and cool to the east. Speaking of that, take a look in Philadelphia. We've got some rain coming on in. We'll update you next.
taking you out to New Orleans, Louisiana. Big Easy getting all geared up for Mardi Gras celebrations, and just next weekend already, though, some celebrations per usual across the region. A lot of people celebrating maybe on that cruise ship. They're getting ready for vacation. They want the warmth. They want the sunshine. We're seeing a few clouds still out there. Some recent rainfall from the first half of the day across New Orleans. But over into Lubbock, where we have no clouds in the sky, dry still across the region. We have really not seen too much of that measurable precipitation for majority of the South, including Amarillo. So continuing that dry streak that started on October 13th. That's over 100 days since we've seen any rainfall in the past 24 hours. Really, a lot of us haven't seen a drop of that rain, but we did, as you could even see in New Orleans, pick up on a few showers into the overnight hours, but it's not anywhere near where we want it. We have anywhere in those reds, that extreme drought taking place in the panhandle of Oklahoma as well as Texas. So any sort of rain is desperately needed. We had those fire concerns last week, even into your weekend, and we're still going to see just a dry front push through, not give us any of the rain, but you will notice the colder temperatures by the time you head into the start of your Monday morning tomorrow. We'll notice, the clouds are going to build across I-10 and down towards the south. San Antonio, Laredo, Brownsville waking with a bit more cloud coverage for the start of your Monday. The rest of us, though, just colder and clear still. You'll notice where that cold has already sunken through. 20s and 30s for overnight lows for majority of the region. 22 in Oklahoma City, 26 in Little Rock. Contrast that where the clouds are and where that front really hasn't pushed all the way in with that colder air. Well, you'll have some 50s and 60s for the start of Monday. Continuing throughout the day, though, we're really just going to see clouds building, maybe in a few light rain showers closer to the border of Mexico. But still, that moisture stays off towards the north. We start to work in that southerly flow yet again today and tomorrow, so that means moisture pumping back into the south, even off towards the west where Fort Stockton. You make it to 77 degrees for a very warm day on Monday afternoon. 60s more widespread, still holding on to that chill a little longer for places further off towards north, including Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Little Rock, Mountain Home. We'll have the 30s even for highs tomorrow. Throughout the day, though, still just all that southerly flow starts to work in with that warm front, seeing rain breaking out. Really, unfortunately, still no moisture where we need it across the panhandle. But pausing at the evening hours of your Tuesday, look, we could potentially be seeing some of that moisture clashing with that cold air. Freezing rain, wintry mix is a possibility into the day on Tuesday afternoon and into the evening hours, indicating by those pinks across northern Oklahoma and even into northern Arkansas as we continue. For a lot of us, though, we're just pumping in that warmth and moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. Still for Tuesday morning, we're waking up at 30s and 20s further off towards the north, where the southerly flow and the clouds have moved in, 50s and 60s. And by the afternoon, those 50s and 60s are back into the 70s, even a few 80s. Laredo making it to 83, only holding off into the 30s. That's why we have that wintry mix potential for places like Oklahoma City, because they're high right around that freezing mark into Tuesday. And we'll continue to see things really staying a bit steady in Little Rock for the next few days. That colder air has worked through, so we're hovering right around 50 until that next system works in with that low pressure system that swings off the Gulf. We'll have that. Even as some 40s work through, a bit of a warm-up into your Thursday and Friday, then another cool-down. But for places like Amarillo, where we have a major up and down with temperatures for the next 7 days, it doesn't really come with any chance for that precipitation that we desperately need. Extreme drought going on over 100 days since we last saw any measurable rain, snow, any precipitation. And then we're not really going to see it the next few days. We will feel the up and down of the temperatures from the upper 60s to the lower 40s from Monday to Tuesday as that front pushes through. Another warm-up before another blast of some colder air moves in for the end of the week and into your week. In Tulsa, you could see that wintry mix moving in on Tuesday as we saw, and then some cooler air before another warm-up works in with the middle 50s for highs by the end of this week.
Welcome back to Weather Nation as we continue talking about some stormy conditions across the Carolina coast. Thankfully, no severe weather expected, but we are seeing some gusty winds out there with this front that is pushing through. It's also bringing some winter weather across parts of Watertown, New York. That is continuing as well. Welcome back to Weather Nation. Thank you for being with us on this Sunday. We are continuing to talk about a pattern here. It's going to set up across the eastern half of the country. It's going to keep us below average with temperatures and wetter than normal.
Yeah, certainly will. So the rain we're seeing as we go through our Sunday, well, guess what? It's going to make a return as we go through this next week. Those colder temperatures stay in place as well. So let's take a look at our forecast over the first 2 weeks of February. It will be cold and wet to the southern portion and to the northeastern portion of the U.S. across parts of the high plains. We're going to have that colder conditions that will persist. Warm and dry out west. We need some more precipitation this way, but it looks like we're going to see most of it pushing east of the Rockies, although into the southeast where we definitely need some of that moisture. We're going to get a little bit more of that as well. So that is good news. Just plan on a little bit more snow into the upper Midwest, back over into the Northeast. We still have, right on through the rest of the day, these winter weather alerts, winter weather advisories. We also have winter storm warnings right here in parts of New York, just south and east of Watertown. Forecast snowfalls. We move through the rest of the overnight tonight into our Monday. We could see some pretty significant snowfall coming on down. Now, right along the coast, it doesn't look like we'll see that falling as snow. That's going to be, for the most part, rain, but other places, anywhere from Michigan to the east into Vermont, New Hampshire, back over to Maine, certainly picking up quite a bit of that moisture. And the forecast accumulation as we move right on through into the southeast, this is good news. We need some rain in this area. We're going to see some. And this may not be the last that we'll see of this rainfall this week, so just plan on keeping your umbrellas handy. We may see some more as we push right on through. Into Missouri, it's been snow, and it's been coming down at a pretty rapid pace. Let's go ahead and take a look what it looks like out that direction. Certainly, that snow piling up.
That snow is piling up across parts of Missouri, and that is also going to be ongoing. But we've got another system to talk about that's also going to possibly affect Missouri. It's going to first set up shop here across Montana into the overnight hours for tonight, where we have those winter storm warnings in effect. So it is that trough that is kind of draped across the eastern two-thirds of the country, and inside that we're going to have kind of several waves of energy here riding through. We've got the first one right now, that area of low pressure, and that is going to continue to band some snow here across parts of Montana into early Monday morning. And then continuing on that track across parts of Iowa into Monday afternoon. This will be a very quick moving system here, not expecting a ton of accumulations across parts of Iowa, maybe close to 6 to 8 inches in some locations, but very, very isolated. It's going to be what materializes into Tuesday night and Wednesday that we really need to keep our eyes on across so much of the eastern half of the country. And that is what we will be following as we move right on through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And that's going to affect places like Dallas, Texas, and into parts of the Ohio River Valley. So let's go ahead and kind of talk about that. We'll take you first here to parts of the areas into Jackson, Mississippi. I was waiting on that headline to come up, Mike. It has certainly felt like Monday today, even though it's Sunday. It's been a struggle here for us.
It feels like Monday. Jackson, though, looking not too bad today. You've got some sunshine in your direction. Now, as we're looking to the southeast, it's going to be a super soaker out this way. We have this next little low pressure system that's really going to dig pretty far south, push across the Lone Star State into the southern portion of the Gulf states, and we're going to tap into a lot of moisture. With that, we're going to see some much needed beneficial rain over the next few days. In fact, into Tuesday, this is your forecast. We are concerned right here where that colder air is pushed on in, and we may have a line out there with some freezing rain, so we could see some ice accumulations. We're going to have to keep ahead of that and just make sure that you're cognizant that we could have some of that freezing rain piling on up. It makes travel a little bit treacherous, certainly can cause power outages different places. Into Oklahoma, snow pushing on in by your Tuesday. Temperatures drop off into the lower 30s. Now, the rest of the week looks pretty good. In fact, you've got a nice warm up as we push towards the end of the week into the 50s, even into the upper 50s by Thursday. Looking into our precipitation outlook, and this takes us again through about the next week, couple weeks. As a matter of fact, we've got dry conditions persisting, and in fact, Seattle, you may actually get a little bit of some dry spells over the next couple of weeks. Into the south, into the east, the rain, the snow will continue to add to our precipitation totals. In places like Alexandria, Virginia, we're going to take you to the east forecast. All that is coming up next.
Well, we take you to Omaha, Nebraska with a little bit of snow left on the shoulders of the roads, but overall we are starting to see that clear out up towards Cut Bank. A totally different story. Some bitter cold temperatures, snow-packed roads, and also some very icy conditions shaping up. So if you're heading out, take it easy. Bismarck, North Dakota also looking relatively okay out there today. Thanks so much for joining us here on Weather Nation. I'm meteorologist Andy Stein. We are talking about your High Plains regional forecast with more snow in the forecast for a lot of areas, including Cheyenne, Wyoming. That could see some snow throughout the next couple of afternoons. We'll detail that for you coming up. Look at Jackson, Wyoming earlier today. Definitely some snow falling and a lot more of it to come as we head into the next about 18 hours or so. We do have that snow continuing, dangerous cold, but then once we get this first initial system out of here, the rest of the week is looking relatively drier for much of the High Plains. We need to talk about that wind chill because it has been brutal this morning. Negative 20 is the wind chill as of this mid-afternoon day here in Minot. Minus 25 in Glasgow as well as minus Miles City. Norfolk coming in at minus 15. So the cold air is definitely here, and make sure you bundle up because it's going to be here throughout the rest of the day. We're talking about temperature differences here ranging anywhere from about 15 to 45 degrees colder than this time yesterday. So a huge drop in temperatures, and you have definitely noticed that as you've stepped outside. Winds have also been gusty. They are relatively between 10 and 20 miles per hour right now. A few higher gusts than that towards Rock Springs. Tie siding yesterday, though, gusted to 67 miles per hour. Truckers out there, you're going to have some issues, especially anything else other than that. High-profile vehicles likely to have some issues on the roads. Add on top of that, some snowpack out there for sure. So we are battling a lot of issues here across the High Plains. A lot of snow reports in the last 24 hours. Take a look at some of these snowfall totals. We're talking about Nevada Ridge in Montana. 16 inches of snow has fallen. Now Waldron, 12 inches of snow, 8 inches in Roundup. It has been pretty snowy. Even down towards Nebraska, we've had a good amount of snow, anywhere from 2 to 6.5 inches so far, with maybe just a little bit more throughout the rest of the afternoon. Here's a look at your visible satellite. So your visible satellite, you can obviously see some of those clouds motioning from northwest to southeast. That is definitely the cold front moving through. But notice where we don't have those clouds moving. This is actually snowpack, so the visible satellite picking up on some of that fresh snow out there, likely to pick up on more fresh snow as we have more winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings that last all the way through early hours of Tuesday morning. So a good 36 hours to go before the snow winds down. High pressure is going to be moving out as this system continues to bring some more snow, deepening a system that is, and also more widespread snow from Great Falls down into Wyoming. Low pressure eventually going to be developing off of this. We're also going to watch for some very windy conditions, but notice how the snow gets all the way down towards Norfolk and Omaha as well, with more snow continuing for the higher elevations of Montana through the next several afternoons. Tonight's low temperature is 0 in Miles City, 2 in Pierre, negative 9 in Grand Forks. It's going to be another cold start to the day. Not as bad as this morning, but still definitely worthy of that parka and some very hefty layers of clothing as you head out. Not as bad in Casper at 33 degrees and 31 in Cheyenne. Billings today, 25. Tomorrow, 19. Snow showers continue both days. Jackson, we have 39 today, 36 tomorrow. We're showing rain on the forecast just because those temperatures are above that freezing mark, but we have already converted over to snow, and it's going to take a good bit for us to change back over to rain. So it's possible that we could, but we'll see if that happens. Bismarck, 8 degrees today, 9 degrees tomorrow. There's where the cold air is, even down towards Scottsbluff. We'll actually see a mild warm up here into the mid-30s for tomorrow afternoon. As we look deeper into your forecast, there's that first system moving through. This is going to be impacting us through much of the day on Monday. Stationary front continues for central Wyoming and western Montana. Meanwhile, the rest of the High Plains under high pressure clears out, dries out, sees some pretty decent conditions continue, but over towards central portions of Nebraska, you know what, an isolated snow shower not out of the question, and a little low pressure developing, bringing some snow showers to the area as we head through the rest of this work week. And again, we mentioned that it's going to be drier this work week, and relatively for a good bulk of the region, it will be. We are just going to be battling some scattered snow showers from much of Montana and western Wyoming through the rest of the next several days. Now, as we head a little bit deeper into your Thursday, we'll continue to watch that very closely for you. Snowfall totals, they will be pretty hefty, 1 to 3 inches for Scottsbluff, Valentine, and maybe over towards Omaha as well as we head towards Tuesday. Great Falls, Bozeman, 4 to 8 inches, and right around the Crazy Mountains, south of Billings, 12 to 24 inches of snow is going to be possible for us. I'll leave you off with a look at Fargo, North Dakota.
Well, it looks like an absolutely gorgeous day there in the Twin Cities, right? Sunshine, nice temperatures of 2 degrees with a minus 16 wind chill. Yeah, apparently there's some important football game going on out there in the Twin Cities, getting ready for kickoff, and anybody who's tailgating outdoors is probably either wearing so many clothes that you probably can't see them, thinking about Christmas Carol a little bit, and then there's the other side of things where if you're not wearing the appropriate clothing, you're probably really, really cold right now. Hey, thanks for joining us here on Weather Nation.
Absolutely. You were taking a look at the forecast in Minneapolis. Of course, today for the big game, it is going to be bone-chilling cold out there. That's if you're left out in the cold. If you've got a ticket for the big game, well, you know what? It's going to be balmy. We've got a nice situation inside U.S. Bank. It's kind of like a big greenhouse, so it's going to keep temperatures pretty warm that direction. This is what we see as we look at some of the temperatures by halftime, and no one's going to leave by then, but by the final snap, as people are heading home, we're going to see, again, clear skies overhead, but those temperatures drop well below zero. We're going to have a bit of a breeze out there, too, so the wind chills will come into play. That's for the big game forecast, but we will see more snow pushing across parts of Chicago. It has moved out of Minnesota, but now across the central portion of the U.S., across the Great Lakes, we continue to see some of this snow at a pretty good clip, and it's only going to be the first of a couple storms that are going to push through this region this week. We are going to see another batch of energy as we go through the next couple of days, but for the moment, it is all rain right along the coast, anywhere from Florida up to Maine, but just inland, that's where we see that changing over to snow and possibly a little bit of frozen precipitation coming on down near Washington, back over into Virginia. Here's another look a little bit closer as we were watching that snow pushing into the central portion of the U.S. down towards southeastern portions of Georgia. We certainly are seeing some pretty good amounts of rainfall coming on in, and a little bit of stronger convection, not so much as we push these storms inland, but here just to the west into the Gulf of Mexico. Certainly a lot of good convection in that direction. We need the rain into the southeast, so this is all a welcomed event. Certainly will help our drought situation, which have been ongoing for a while. This is not good, though, seeing some of these pinks showing up, because that could be some of that freezing precipitation that could leave a glaze of ice out there on the roadways, certainly on the power line, so we could have some power outages out of the deal. Further to the north, it's all snow across New York. As we're looking into Pennsylvania, we do see, again, some of that changing over to a little bit of rain, but still some pretty significant snowfall this direction. Taking a look at the winter weather alerts as we move right on through the rest of today. We have winter weather advisories. We have winter storm warnings. That's for the ongoing snow. And again, we're going to see another batch of moisture push in as we go through this week as well. Further to the south into Savannah, Georgia, you've got the cloudy skies out there, quite a bit warmer than what we saw into the northern portion of the U.S.
Yeah, here, Mike. This is where we're looking at some of those gray skies, just not looking all that pleasant out there in southeast Georgia, all in association with that same system. But the further south you go, the more we need that moisture. So we're happy to see it. At least your lawns are probably smiling if they could out there in places like Georgia, Alabama, and into Mississippi. Further north, though, here's a look at that forecast. We run through it through the next few hours. We get into the overnight hours. A lot of this is going to swing on out of here. And by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, you got sunshine just about everywhere. Just a few leftover flakes and through the Green White Mountains in northern Vermont, New Hampshire. Any of those last flakes will get on out of here by about mid-morning or so. So pretty much this is going to be over and done with the next 12 to 18 hours. A quick moving system. Boom, boom, this thing's out of here. And we do have more snow on the way. Head into interior New England, so we're going to pick up pretty hefty amounts of snow, 6 to 12 inches in some spots. Rain across the southeast, and we're seeing it now. Charlotte, you had freezing rain through much of the morning hours, but that moisture sliding east of I-95 out by Pamlico Sound, and Walla, it's out into the Atlantic Ocean. Over and done with, and same idea for you. Most of you wake up to sunny skies tomorrow morning. For those of you that don't, you'll certainly have a pleasant drive home here on your Monday as high pressure builds back in. Rain yet to go, 1 to 2 inches in through parts of South Carolina, North Carolina, and then eventually further off towards the south, another 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rain will accumulate before this thing goes out to sea. Further off towards the west, it's pretty active here into the northwest. Once again, Seattle, speaking of rain, you got more of that. And then you head into the mid-Atlantic. We're seeing some of that middle portion of the country, I should say, the Midwest, seeing some of that snow. A pretty good burst of snow here as well. Springfield, Missouri, I-44. That is a pretty slick drive out here. Billings, you picked up about 7 inches of snow. That continues to come on down. We're going to have more of a look out across the west, including some snow. This is actually from Virginia, but we're also tracking more of that winter weather coming up right here on Weather Nation, so stay with us. A little bit of mountain snow for Colorado and Utah, but the main story for most of the region through the next few days and really through the rest of the week, it's going to be nice and warm temperatures here across the four corners. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi. A pleasure to have you with us here on this Sunday. We'll start things off with this gorgeous view of the mile-high city of Denver with the sun poking back out here on Sunday afternoon after we got off to a cloudy, foggy start. Some light snow and a little bit of light freezing drizzle did make the roadways pretty slick, at least to start off your Sunday there in the Mile High City. But as you can see, things have cleared on up. Now you head up into the mountains of Beaver Creek into Colorado. You've seen some of that snowfall as well, and you can see some of that overspraying the region with some more snow expected along the I-70 corridor, especially I-70 on north towards the Park Range. Albuquerque, you'll see some cooler temperatures we get near Monday, but for you in the largest city in the land of enchantment, a pretty nice Sunday out your way in Phoenix. Oh man, have you just won the weather lottery virtually all winter long, and that continues here as we head through the beginning and middle part of the work week. How about 80s and more 80s on tap as we head through much of the upcoming work week. So the weather for most of us, yeah, it's the first full week here in the month of February and first Sunday in the month of February. It's not feeling February-like for most of us. Highs on your Sunday. Denver, again, you've been kind of socked in some of that cloud cover. Same for you up by Fort Collins and Colorado Springs. That's why your temperature is on the cooler side. Everybody else, though, basking well above average warmth for this time of year. Still a few more degrees to add in some spots. Salt Lake City